Today, with less than 1 day left in this legislative session, lawmakers have yet to pass the budget or the bills that will balance it. Our Capitol Insiders give us the latest on that and tackle some wasteful spending in today's Your Vote Counts.
Well, the president's still talking about the Gulf and talking and talking. And some Democrats, some famous Democrats, are unhappy with the talk. Watch this.
BP is not the equal of the United States government. And this president needs to tell BP, I'm your daddy, I'm in charge, you're going to do what we say. You're a multinational company that is greedy and you may be guilty of criminal activity.
Can you believe they're married?
Yeah.
Is that his wife?
That's Mary Madeline.
Mary Madeline, yeah.
Oh, man.
It's big time.
So when's the president going to tell BP, I'm your daddy?
You know, James Carville is a cool dude. I met him a couple of years ago, and he is who he is. Yeah. But the problem with the president is a great communicator is not communicating. This guy is almost like he's too cool to go down there and show his passion and take things under control. I don't know what they expect the federal government to do. There are 20,000 people down there, 1,400 National Guardsmen, 1,400 bolts, 3 million feet of boom that he's put down. This is a horrible environmental disaster. By the way, this all started with guess who? George W.
I knew
Bush.
it.
Absolutely no federal regulation under the Bush administration. These guys are criminal and they need to go to jail.
Well,
it's
Barack
disgusting
Obama
what they've done
this time is playing the good job Brownie. I'm telling you what.
Good job, Brownie.
He's talking and not doing anything.
You know, I think Barack Obama's been too worried planning his vacation this upcoming weekend. He's been completely neglecting what's been going on in the Gulf, and he's been rejecting the ideas and thoughts of what's going on in Louisiana. The governor of Louisiana came out with some great resolutions to try to protect those shores. And quite honestly, those rigs are very strong out there. They survived Hurricane Katrina.
They didn't
You're talking
survive
about
this
Hurricane
one,
Katrina.
did they?
They survived. This one broke off. BP's responsible for it. They said they're going to pay for it, but the federal government has an obligation to step in there.
Well, somebody needs to do something for granted.
Do they want more federal involvement or less? I'm a little confused here on that.
At this point, somebody needs to do something. But anyway, that's for another week. Hey, Oklahoma Impact Team catches the Senate leadership out there spending money after we got all these budget cuts, and you guys cut off travel early last year, as I understand. My question is, well, take a look at this bite, for example.
Is there anything directly that you've done after going to these conferences that maybe people could see the benefit of?
That's probably, I'd have to think about that, but I think given the opportunity that if I wouldn't have been at these conferences, then I wouldn't be representing my state.
If you can't travel, you can't represent your state. This guy's supposed to be next year's leader for crying out loud.
Pretty weak answer.
And by the way, both sides got hit on this deal, but you know, what is in the water that people would be taking these limo trips in this budget environment?
Obviously, I want to say I'm proud of what the House of Representatives has done. About a year ago, we put a moratorium on all out-of-state travel, at least as far as getting reimbursed. It's projecting these budget negotiations, or budget shortfalls. You know, there is no excuse. I know that Senator Bingman is actually chairman of that energy organization that he took these trips on. But at the same time, we saw many Democrats staying at the Ritz-Carlton. This was a bipartisan event that happened in the Senate, and I don't have an excuse for it. Maybe Richard does.
Bipartisan brain mail, for crying out loud.
Democrats. I mean, come on. It's whether Republicans or Democrats. A year ago, in March of 2009, I filed a simple resolution. Muhammad Ali once said, it's not bragging if it's true, to cut off all state travel. The Speaker of the House took 4 months to do that until we were after session, until these characters went flying all over the place. Not my friend Mike over here, but I mean, I'm talking about the Senate over there. They should have stopped this 2 years ago. We need to pass a law, Mike, that says no state travel under state tax dollars. This stuff should have stopped a long time ago. It's a Senate to this, and by the way, the Senator Bingman, next time he's on TV, he probably ought to think a little bit more about his answer as to what it's going to be.
That's his career light blinking, okay? Because I don't know how you elect a guy like that pro tem. I just don't know. Hey, this case this week where the guy used to be administrator in the medical examiner's office, law enforcement's been out of control. By the way, we think Governor Terrell's been doing a good job on the whole. Because we don't know where the governor is on this issue. We've been talking about that for months. Is that the sort of case that should have been before a jury?
Well, I don't think so. You know, I thought from the very beginning that the state's evidence was extremely weak. Sometimes, in my experience down at the courthouse, is that the state knee-jerks into a case. They get into it, they're halfway into it, and they go, oops, now what do we do? The attorney, Scott Adams, is a very competent attorney. They didn't have the proper evidence. The judicial system worked. He was found not guilty. They wasted a lot of time. I hope that the case in Tulsa goes better for the state than it did over here in Oklahoma County.
Should that have been in front of a jury, Mike?
You know, according to the jury, it shouldn't have been. I think that obviously there's some misdoings. There's another case coming up. They want to make sure they got their act together. That attorney he spoke of usually does do a pretty good job and has I think, a pretty tremendous track record.
He does. He does.
So, in other words, law enforcement still needs to be looked at, and we'll have to get with Governor Terrell about that. All right, last question is, don't believe anything you hear on 23rd in Lincoln until after 5 o'clock tomorrow. This kabuki dance that they do out there every year, is it a bad system, Mike?
You know, it's not a perfect system, and we can definitely need to make it much better, but it is a system that we have. I've been very disappointed in some of the things that have occurred out there. I am proud to say I passed a resolution along with Senator Newberry giving the citizens the right to vote to opt out of Obamacare. I believe that that is unconstitutional, it's wrong, and we want to make sure that Oklahomans' voices are heard on this particular issue.
And, Representative, what about the kabuki dance?
It's unbelievable out there. Okay, they've got 62 members in the House. The other night, we were going to vote on a provider deal so that we could get a 3-to-1 match with the federal government. The Appropriations Chairman, Mr. Miller, who's running for state office, who negotiated the budget deal, voted against it.
And
then on Monday, they vote against another emergency. They claim it's a tax. But when they want to vote, by the way, they're coming in with millions of dollars worth of tax increases in the last 24 hours. Mike, it's illegal. We're going to have to go into special session because this business is not going to work.
It's not going to work.
Celtics in 6?
No, Celtics in 7 probably. I don't think they're going to.
Back to you. Kabuki dance, don't believe anything they're saying.
Super Bowl in New York.